Welcome to Chanza Lifestyle Series. This is basically your one-stop shop for everything real estate. And today we're having a conversation on the 10 financial tips that you need to have before investing in any real estate project. And who better than to have the guest that you're just about to have. And every time I see this gentleman anywhere, the first question that comes to my mind is, how much money am I saving? Literally. I even feel scared to spend money when I'm with this gentleman. So ladies and gentlemen, it's our pleasure to have none other than Mr. Waithaka Gatumia, the CEO of Centonomy. Mr. Waithaka, karibu sana to Chanza Lifestyle.
Thank you so much. I hope it's not just saving. I want you to make money.
Oh, you want me to make money as well?
Don't just save. You have to make money.
It's not just about saving.
Yeah, and you don't save for nothing. You save for something. You want to save because there's an outcome that you're looking for. So when you approach the idea of investment and saving, it's not just for the sake of investment and saving, it's for the sake of something that you want. I'm saving so I can buy a piece of land. I'm saving so I can buy a house. I'm investing so I can send my kids to school. I am investing so that I can go on holiday. Like, there has to be an outcome, otherwise the investment and saving means nothing.
There's a goal to it.
There has to be, yes.
Which leads me now to our very first question. What's your definition of wealth?
So at Centonomy, we define wealth as the ability to live the lifestyle that you want without having to work.
Okay.
The first part is, what do you want? The lifestyle that you want. The second half of it is a bit different. So without having to work. Now, please don't misquote me and tell people that at Centonomy we say you don't work. No. You have to work hard to get to the point where you don't have to work anymore.
Where you don't have to work.
What does that mean when you don't have to work? It means that you have assets, and those assets actually put enough money in your pocket to sustain your life.
So you've talked about the level of financial freedom where your investments basically work for you.
That's right.
So what are some...
Not just work for you, pay you.
Pay you.
Yes.
There's a difference.
There's a difference. Because if I have a piece of land somewhere, it is working for me in that it is appreciating in value.
Yeah.
But until I sell that piece of land, there's no cash flow. So the guys who have found financial freedom have cash flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have assets that put money in their pockets.
Yes. What investment options can be able to unlock this pool of wealth, or rather this pool of financial freedom that people should be looking for?
Savings account is a great place to start, because at least there you're getting into the habit. You can look at other classes like unit trusts. So unit trusts are what we call pooled investments.
Yes.
So pooled investments, a unit trust you take, you put it into a trust, you have a fund manager, that guy goes and invests on your behalf. And whatever returns you get, it's shared amongst all the people who have units. There are multiple. You have like a money market fund, and you have a bonds fund, you have a real estate investment trust, you have a balanced fund. All of them have a return, but now based on your outcome, on what you're looking for, you select the right investment. The key to this wealth creation journey, you save and invest, and you can't do one. You have to do both.
So there's an asset class that I'd also like us now to focus specifically on, and I'd like you to tell me how this asset class specifically compares to other asset classes that you've talked about, and I'm talking about land. Okay. So how does land compare to these other asset classes that you've talked about?
If the idea is to buy in order to sell, why don't you have a different perspective? All these companies that sold you that piece of land that you have never seen, they're in the same business, but they approach it differently. They buy a piece of land in an area that people are, there's a high demand.
Yes.
So that, and they don't buy a small chunk. That 50 by 100, they didn't buy 50 by 100. They went and bought maybe 5 acres or whatever it is. 5 acres, then they do the work of what is called value addition.
Yes.
They get title deeds, they do a road, and within a 3 to 6 month period, they sell that land again to someone else. They're making between 30 and 60%.
30 and 60%.
So if that 50 by 100 that you bought for 100, for maybe 130, its actual 130 to 150, 160, its actual value is likely to be around 100K.
Whoa.
But because they've made it into a small, for the retail investor, you feel, I can afford that piece of land. And it's not a bad thing. You can, it's just that for you to get the return on that land, now it takes a long time. But these guys who are in the same business of land, they are making their money within 6 3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months they've already made that.
So they have a strategy for growth.
So are you advising us to buy 5 acres worth of land instead of buying the 50 by 100?
I'm trying to advise people what is the outcome you're looking for. So if you're saying I want to buy in order to sell, then have a strategy for that. Most people say I do want to buy it to sell, but they don't know when they're going to sell it. They don't know who they're going to sell it to. They don't even know what the appreciation rate is within that area. So they're simply just buying. One day they hope they are going to sell it to someone else. It's not strategic. So I'm trying to get people to be strategic. It's not a bad investment. It's a bad investment if you don't have a strategy. Yeah.
So a strategy is something that
it's key.
Let's talk about the purchasing of land already.
Yeah.
And of course, you've talked about strategy, which is key and very important before making a decision of what land to buy. And of course, sometimes most of us, when we are at that particular point where we feel like we have enough money in the bank, the first investment that comes to our mind is land investments. But then the question that comes is, between residential and commercial, which one should I go for first as a first-time investor?
Starting slow, starting small is usually a great place to begin. Whether it is residential or commercial, that's dependent on what the opportunity is there. Why? Because when you say a commercial space, even 2 shops within the CBD is commercial. It's commercial. Because you're going to be renting it to potential businesses, not for somebody to come and stay there. So even if it's not a huge investment, it could have the returns if you have that potential that's there. So I shy away from saying that necessarily this one is better than the other. One is better than the other. It's about what opportunities do you have, what do your networks look like, what's the potential outcome, and have you assessed what the risks could be to you. So either would give you good return. In general, you're going to see a slightly higher annual rate of return for commercial properties than you are for residential. But there are other risks, because commercial properties, businesses thrive, they don't thrive. You can have people moving in and out. Maybe residential could be a little bit more steady at certain levels. So assess the risk.
I think when we talk about assessing the risk, we're also basically just asking ourselves, or rather having the conversations of how to evaluate the investment potential in terms of ROI. So could you just basically give us a few tips of how exactly can one evaluate the return on investment on a real estate property?
If you're trying to buy and sell, then you're looking at reduce the time between purchase and sale, because then you're going to get the highest benefit. You're not being eaten away by inflation, and then you're trying to get the best margin as possible. So that purchase of larger tracts and then subdivision tends to be a very good strategy for doing that. If you're talking about rental, then it's to understand that this property needs to consistently generate a cash flow, because rent is the cash flow benefit of that type of real estate. So you want to ensure that it is in a high demand area. So what does that mean? Like there's a property I've invested in. By the time somebody says I am moving out, they have already got 3 or 4 people who are waiting. So there's almost never a gap between your rental payments. I invested in another project elsewhere, and there, because the demand is not as high, so you find, like, if a tenant leaves, it's stress, because now you have a gap in which there is no cash flow. So make sure that that's the key. Is there demand in that area such that no matter who is in that space, you are going to be able to get a cash flow? So demand is a very key part for that, in any business. Really. In any business, really.
All right.
So if you don't have clarity on that area, do people want to live here? Is it like now when we talk about rentals, is it in a place in which people are going to access work, they're going to access social amenities? That's a key thing, because if it's not, then the demand may not be as high.
Like I told you, the conversation on real estate investments from a financial point of view is just getting hotter. So this is the end of our first part, and the second part of this series is even going to be better. Be on the lookout.